Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back to another episode of the 3FOUR3 podcast. We are back, episode 66. We are growing in number. I'm back with my trusted sidekicks. AF, how's it going, player?
No, good. A bit sad that the Premier League is over, but have to look at the silver lining that it can get better next season. So, yeah. That's just my 5 cents.
I don't think a Man United fan has ever said that they're sad to see the Premier League. They were probably happy that it was ending. Riyaz, how's it hanging, player? You've been on a bit of an AWOL there, MIA.
I'm missing in action. It's good to be back. Sad that I'm back on the episode where, like I said, it's done and dusted now. It's all over. It is quite sad. I'm always sad at this time of the year when the Premier League ends. But I guess onto Euros, I guess, and then it'll be back before we know it, hopefully.
Yeah, it's always a crazy time because it consumes your life for like 9 months, and then suddenly it's just gone. And then you got a FA Cup, you got a Champions League, and then we are going to be treated to I think a very tasty Euros. But what a long season! What a up and down season.
Shame. You're saying FA Cup and a Champions League. There's a Europa League final tonight with a young Granit Xhaka.
That was blood. That was also a bit suspicious, eh? Why is he drinking blood? Performance enhancers. But that was gonna be last but not least. I was gonna get to that, but exciting game tonight. We've got Bayer Leverkusen against Atlanta. For those that didn't know, but that's not the focus for this evening show. This evening we'll be chatting, a little bit about the Prem, what the season was like for our respective teams. I know 3 different teams. Naturally, but also 3 very different seasons. A little bit about Chelsea and how well run they have been this season and how well run they're being now postseason. And then we're just going to chat a little bit about the FA Cup game that's also coming up. So let's just dive right in. I mean, we'll leave my feelings for last, but AF, I think this is the first time, well, not the first time, but it was nice for all our teams to finish with a win. Your closing thoughts on a season that was nothing short of a roller coaster ride?
Yeah, so I think I'm just gonna go through the entire Premier League, not every single team, but just my thoughts on teams that I think should be selected in a way. If I go back to the starting of the season. I had very high hopes for Manchester United because of the fact that they won a cup last year. They finished 3rd on the log. They showed signs of progression under tenhag, and I think every other United fan shared my sentiment as well. I think even fans outside of the United fan base could also see that something looked like it was going in the right direction over there. Yes, we've said that, we've spoken about all the injuries that United have had this season, but that shouldn't be an excuse. A manager should always have a plan B, and it didn't end up going the way we wanted. It didn't end up going the way that tenhag wanted, it left a lot to be desired. And then on the other side of Manchester, it was just business as usual for them. Yes, Arsenal pushed them up until the final day, which it was great to see. It was great to see another team just in the title race. Besides Manchester City and Liverpool, that's been the norm for the past couple of seasons. And then speaking about Liverpool as well, the whole bombshell about Klopp leaving midway through the season, that also took up a lot of real estate on media sites, and I think that also had an effect on the players. I definitely think that had an effect on the players. You could see Exhibit A was that whole thing that happened with Salah on the touchline. In the past couple of seasons, we've never seen any sort of misunderstanding outside of the dressing room, and that was the first time that we saw some sort of like crack in the foundation over there. And yeah, it's just like small things like that. It could derail a season, and I think Klopp announcing so early in the season derailed their season, and it took them out of the title race around about like end of March, starting of April. But yeah, other than that, I think everything was business as usual in the Premier League. I think this was only the second time that 3 teams that got promoted got relegated in the following season. So yeah, that was an interesting little fact. Keen to hear your guys' thoughts.
Yeah, it's obviously we thought that at the start when Klopp had announced, I think it was going to have that effect of it was going to boost Liverpool's performances, and I think in and around the first few weeks it actually did. I think there was a different sense when you were going to Anfield or teams coming there. It was just like very, very different. But yeah, it's very strange that they had announced it so soon. I found it a bit peculiar, especially when, at the start of the season, Liverpool fans said that they're not going to be in the title race, and then they were there for a large part of the season, and then suddenly they were just off it. So yeah, it was a bit strange. Yeah, and then Man United, it's just, sorry, my friend, it was like PTSD for me. I was watching it and I was thinking about all the years where I've had to suffer through something similar, where 1 week you're on top of the world, the next week you're down the dumps. And yeah, it was just a very up and down season. Riyaz, new manager this season, a few new signings, and surprised that he made the whole season. I know in previous seasons you get a new manager and it doesn't last very long. But yeah, what are your thoughts on your season? Overachieve, underachieve, happy with where the club could be going?
Yeah, I think that I'm deciding on whether I want to get angry in the beginning or in the end of my soliloquy here. But okay, let's get angry from the start. I mean, I'll start off with the negatives and then end off with the positives, I suppose. But I mean, I didn't get a chance to talk about this yet, but that whole situation where we kind of, when we played City, the second last or third last game of the season, and yeah, let me preface this by saying I don't live in England. I don't know firsthand the rivalry. I don't know how much people hate each other at the end of the day. But my issue is, how can you support a team and at any point want the team to lose? That doesn't make sense to me at all. Like, if you support a team, you support them no matter what. Like, if they are losing every week, you hope that they are going to get one back. If they are losing every week and they have to play City, but that's going to help your rivals, you want them to win the game, because otherwise they're going to lose, and losing can only mean bad things.
And Champions League, if they had to win, they would have been in the driving seat for Champions League.
True. Low-key, I'm happy that we didn't make it, but that is very true. Exactly. And we would have made it because Villa lost on the last day.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it would have been more money for us and we would have attracted better players, and it would have only meant good for Ange. So, and the amount of Tottenham fan websites and podcasts and things like that outwardly were just against the team in that game. I've never been so angry while supporting my team in all my years of watching football. Honestly, I felt like I wanted to change my allegiances. And that's when I realized all teams' fans are just annoying. At the end of the day, they all have their annoying traits. I thought, okay, maybe Arsenal are their fans are okay. Some of them are idiots too. I thought Liverpool fans, they were okay. Some of them were idiots too. So, I mean, now I see it with my own fan base. You can't really escape it. So that was a bit rough for me to kind of see all those people against my team, against our team at the end of the day. We ended up losing the game, and so my whole thing was that, let's say we play Arsenal halfway through the season, and we beat them, and they go on to win. City, not Arsenal, City. We play City halfway through the season. We beat them. Arsenal go on to win the title by 2 points, by 1 point. Then we still gave it to them. No, we were the ones that gave Arsenal the title. So what's the difference in beating them halfway through the season and beating them 2 weeks before the season is out? That makes no difference. So that made me really angry. Sorry, that was one rant that I wanted to go on. Overall, for the season, I think we had a decent season. Ange came in, and honestly, the quote about the managers is very true, because at the end of the day, I think that if he had a worse start to the season, then it might have been a little different, because there would have been tensions high and all that thing. But because he started the season so well, and kind of integrated his style of play so early, and you could see that he wanted to play attacking football, and we were winning games. That kind of, I think, changed the whole viewpoint of the higher ups, and also the fans. He got the backing of the fans immediately as well. Because let's get real. Once Mickey was injured, and throughout the middle and towards the end of the season, we were shocking. If you take it game by game, if you look at some of the games specifically, we were really bad. We lost 2-0 to Chelsea. That was really bad. And we were getting outplayed while playing our brand of football, which was weird, which worked so well in the beginning of the season, where we dominated teams and we finished, and then we all of a sudden couldn't finish. So also an up and down season, not as up and down as United, obviously, and that's mainly down to, I think, the start of the season, how well we played, and the new manager bounce, I guess you could call it. Whereas United, of course, didn't really have that. United did get results more often than we did, I guess, from as bad as they played. But I think overall we had a good season. Nobody expected us to be in the top 8. If you asked anybody last season to predict the top 8, it was Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester United, Chelsea, Aston Villa, Brighton, and some other team. That was the top 8 that people would have told you. They wouldn't have predicted Spurs anywhere close to that. So to finish 4th is really good. I'm happy with Europa League. Hopefully we can bring in some players for next season and challenge for top 4. I don't want anybody thinking we can get more than that, because it's not realistic.
I think if we go back to our start of the season predictions, Jason and I both had Spurs in our top 8. You are the one that didn't have Spurs in your top 8.
Yeah, that's well done to you guys then. I mean, that's impressive. But like I literally said that because I was watching everything, and everybody that I watched was just downing Spurs. They didn't think that Spurs were going to get anywhere.
But also, just like going back to the whole like start of the season thing under Ange, he came in and he did what he did previously, but he wasn't really a Hollywood manager or like a top tier manager. So he came in without the expectation, without that sort of spotlight on him, and I think that goes a long way. If a manager comes in, say for example, like how you guys employed Mourinho or Conte, it comes with that immediate sort of expectation that this manager has to take them to like top 4 in their first season or something like that. He came in not much expectation, and I think that did a world of good for you guys.
That helped him. Yeah, that's true. And also we saw what he was like when the spotlight was shone on him during that week of the Man City game. He didn't really crumble. I think he faced it really well, but people weren't happy with what he said because obviously of the rivalry, things like that. But I think personally that he handled it really well. So at the end of the day, we had a decent season. We could have gotten top 4, but Aston Villa, wow. I mean, we mustn't forget that Aston Villa had a 22 run unbeaten streak at home or something like that, which was ridiculous at the start of the season. And they were the ones that ended up costing Arsenal the title as well. And they played amazing football under Unai Emery, which we all expected, I guess, top 8 for Aston Villa as well, but nobody expected them to kind of get the top 4. They played really, really well. Their home form was imperious. And Ollie Watkins, man, I mean, what a striker, honestly. The season cannot be underestimated. Obviously, he's been overshadowed by 2 world-class players this season, but really his season was second to, I guess, to other people. But really, really great season for him. And also the way that he played Ezra Konsa on the right back. That was also, obviously it was out of necessity at the time, but Konsa adapted really well. And I think the stat is that he's one of the least throw pass defenders in the league this season, which is ridiculous to think about.
And it's so crazy that even when Matty Cash came back, he didn't automatically come back into the team. That's like a testament to how good Konsa was actually playing.
Yeah, and how good Emery is as a manager as well. He stuck to what was working at the end of the day. So yeah, for Spurs, for Aston Villa, good seasons. Brighton fell off a little bit, I would say. De Zerbi is now gone as well. So it's going to be interesting to see next season. It's a bit too early to call any of the things really, because now Poch is going. Tenhag is going to go probably. It seems. I saw it just before I came here. So it's going to be difficult next season. But it's crazy to me, just to end off on my soliloquy here. It's crazy to me how kind of you need 90 points now to win the league minimum. 90 points is the minimum you need to win the Premier League, and that is unbelievable. I got a stat today. I was watching something, and I got a stat today that said that Liverpool's average points tally for the season under Jurgen Klopp was 85 points. That is ridiculous. His average over his amount of time that he spent there is 85 points, and he's only won one league title. That is just ridiculous. So the Premier League, the top there is, I think, ever-changing in terms of who's going to challenge. But I think City are just too good to be true at this point in time.
Yeah. Jason, what do you think about Newcastle? How do you think their season unfolded?
Look, obviously a massive decline from what we saw last season, but I think last season there were little to no expectations of them. They obviously got this big cash injection, a change of ownership, and we saw Eddie Howe get a few scalps against a few good teams, which obviously resulted in them getting Champions League. But suddenly when you're adding the pressure of Champions League as well, a competition they haven't been in for many years, and then you couple it with all the injuries that they had, it was going to be tough. I think for them to have that resurgence towards, I think it was probably like February, March, April, I think, if I'm not mistaken, to actually get somewhere close to getting further up the table after they shoddy start, because I think at the time they were in the bottom half and it was like a draw, a loss, and all of these things. I think they definitely underperformed on last season, but that's probably because they overperformed last season. So maybe it's balancing out. Maybe there's another big summer for them. A few good signings, I think, in some key areas, maybe a few more young players. They can literally just go raid Chelsea's team and get the likes. I mean, they got Lewis Hall, who when he came in was very consistent, very reliable. I'm sure they could scoop up a few players that are not starting there that can immediately provide the cover that they needed, and that midfield area that was so lacking, and then maybe also move on from Callum Wilson or these unreliable hamstrings. Just to have
it's crazy though. I saw that Anthony Gordon is linked with Liverpool. Apparently there's been talks already for that. So that will be a huge gap in because he's been crazy for them.
Yeah, and it comes at a time where I didn't really rate him at Everton. I thought he was, I don't know, it's just one of those English talents, who had little moments, but nothing consistent. And then he's proved everyone wrong actually coming here. And I think he even had, when he just signed, there was that little tiff that he had with Eddie Howe when he was substituted, and he just didn't go shake the hands, and he threw a water bottle, a jersey, or a jacket, whatever it is. And I thought, okay, there's a kid that was signed for a big fee that's now wanting to play every game, and it's not as simple, There's actual quality at Newcastle as opposed to Everton, where everything was a scrap. But now going to Liverpool, I think it's somewhere like 100 mil, right? They're quoting something crazy like that, and I think you're not even. Yeah, it's actually a bit crazy now that there's so many more 100 mil signings that are going to be popping up, and it's guys that we will sit and question what is the impact versus the price tag, I think Newcastle, if they lose it or if they do sell him off, I think Liverpool get a decent asset in that it's a youngster who's had a very good season. He's had to step up, and I think he will slot in there. He'll provide good competition. And also, I think it leads into the fact that I think Liverpool want to get rid of Luis Diaz, or there are slight talks, rumors going around that since his injury, he hasn't come back, and they're ready to listen to offers at least. Obviously, this time of the year, it's all just rumors. And until it gets confirmed, it's just going to be everybody's linked with everybody. and everybody's players leaving. So yeah, we just take it with a pinch of salt. I think the transfer window this season that's going to most excite me is where all the managers going to go, because I think we're going to have a lot of movement in that department, and that's going to be the interesting one, just to keep an eye on more than any of the big players going. Yeah. So
I think the reason why they want to sell him, or they might sell him or Isaac, is because of FFP or something like that. I think something like that was said. So I think one of them is definitely going to go.
Not making Champions League.
Yeah. They 100% lost that big cash injection, but
yeah,
it's a bit upsetting that you have teams that are willing to comply with FFP, right? And then you have teams that are not. And I'm not saying teams, I'm saying team. In the second season now, where we've tried to challenge City. You're saying that Jurgen Klopp's average points total is 85, but he's competing against a team that's worth probably one bill easily, and they have strengthened in every department. They have depth in every department. If they're not playing Erling Haaland, they're bringing off the bench a World Cup winner, Julian Alvarez, to just slot in there. If it's not Kevin De Bruyne because he's suffering from injuries, it's Phil Foden. If it's not 150 mil centre back, if it's not 150 mil centre back, then it's a 60 mil centre back that actually starts. So, yeah, it's hard to manage all of that, but Pep's done it, and yeah, I'm just waiting for that ball to drop, for that pin to drop, and something to happen. But until then, you're going to have to be near perfect every season, and it's going to have to be. In this instance, it showed when Arsenal get 90 points and they still don't come not anywhere close, but they still win it. You're going to have to go 90 plus, and that's crazy because since the turn of the year, Arsenal is 16 wins, 1 loss and 1 draw, and with that form, that should win you. That should be a perfect run-in, and you should win the title. We lose out by 2 points. So
yeah, but City's going to win all the games. That's the difference. When the year turns.
Yeah, so I saw an interesting stat as well. In the last 5 seasons or so, this is the only season that they've won all of their last 6 games. In 5 out of the last 6, they've had a draw or loss in their last. I think it's 6 or 7 games, and it's this season they have to be perfect because Arsenal's pushed them very far. So yeah, kudos. I mean, if you are going to lose it, you want to lose it this way as opposed to last year where we just gave it away.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, just a quick one on Arsenal. I think I've said it before and I'll say it again, there's a tangible proof of improvement, and that's going to keep pulling me in because where last season we started well, we faded at the end. This season we started okay, faded in the middle, but finished very strong. So it's definitely 1 or 2 tweaks, But yeah, while we're just in London and while we're just gonna jump quickly. Sorry, do you want to ask something on Arsenal? Or?
Yeah. I just want you, in terms of sort of improvements, you've watched the team the entire season. If you were to call the sort of improvements that Arteta would have to make to try to go the extra mile, are there any positions or are there any players that you think would be shown the door, and which positions do you think would need some sort of love?
We've been a bit unfortunate with injuries in our left back department. We have Zinchenko that was signed, and it's also I was very harsh on him, and I think rightfully so, because I think when you're at that level, you open yourself up to scrutiny. But we have to realize that this isn't a natural defender. This is a midfielder that was converted into a left back by Pep and has now just assumed that role. So he's going to have his faults, and unfortunately, it's been exposed every time that he's played this season, I think. There hasn't been a game where we haven't maybe gotten into some sticky situation with him playing at left back, and I think specifically about the Aston Villa game where he had started and suddenly we were a bit dysfunctional in that second half, Yes, I think probably reliable cover, because even Tomiyasu, whilst he's extremely good and he does everything that we need, he is also a bit fragile. And then you have to stretch a guy like Ben White the whole season, or you have to shuffle around, and you have a centre-back, Jakub Kiwior, who plays at left-back, also does well, but also not what you're wanting, So, yeah, I think left-back, and then I think probably our best team relies on having a good number 9 besides Kai Havertz. Yeah, I think it's probably there's certain games where we need a clear goal scoring threat and not just like, okay, waiting on Saka to do something. I think in that Everton game, we became so reliant to go down the right hand side because that's where we normally go Saka. And it was very evident. I don't think I ever slandered Havertz very extensively this season. I think I was a bit critical on certain things. Yeah, there were certain times when I was very critical, but I was adamant that he's not meant to be playing in that left-sided midfield role, and he is the false 9, and he is that 9 for us. And I think he's proven that in this run-in. But yeah, I think definitely if we're getting somebody that's a clinical goal scorer, I think it definitely alleviates some of the pressure. It also maybe takes a bit of the focus off Martinelli, off Saka, off Odegaard, because now you've got that focal point, and then it allows them to flourish a bit more. And then once they focus on them, it allows him to flourish. So, yeah, I think that's definitely what we're going to do. And I think the key this season is just to wrap it up before preseason so that we can actually preseason.
That's true. I have a question. How would you feel about, this is a bit out of left field, but like, I watched something and they said this and it kind of made all the sense to me for some reason. And I can't get it out of my head now. So how would you feel about Dominic Solanke?
I don't think he's the guy. I think if Eddie Nketiah goes to Bournemouth, he does similar to, if not the same, of what Dom Solanke is doing. So I want somebody that is a bit more proven. Solanke's best thing about him is that he's got no real competition, right? So he plays every game.
Yeah.
So he gets onto the end of everything. So with the system that we have, Eddie Nketiah is asked to play a role that he's not familiar with. So he's very similar in Dom Solanke in that they are 9s and they are strikers. They stay between the width of the box, and if you put a ball in there, they will finish. So I'm thinking that if Eddie Nketiah were to go to Bournemouth, I think he has a similar season to Solanke, just because he gets game time, and Eddie thrives on game time. So yeah, I don't think I'd want him. I think it would be a very lateral move. I think we now need to get somebody who's going to come in and immediately start banging the way Erling Haaland came in. When he
what about Ivan Toney?
No, please.
Yeah, no.
Look,
Ivan Toney,
the only reason I'm bringing him up is because he's been linked to Arsenal for the last 3 years straight or something. So I mean, it's probably a name that's on the table already.
Yeah. But you see, so for me, the difference is vast between even those two. Between Ivan, if I'm Arsenal and you're giving me a choice between Ivan Toney and Dom Solanke, I'm taking Dom Solanke because he does more. If you watch Odegaard during the game when they don't have the ball, he's shepherding everybody. He's the press man, but he's shepherding everybody next to him. And Havertz, the reason why Havertz works so well with him is because he's a hard worker off the ball. And that's why I feel like Dom is going to be a better suit for Arsenal. Not that he's a better striker than Toney, because at the end of the day, Toney's a better striker than Solanke. I will say that. But for Arsenal's system, I think without the ball specifically, Solanke has, I think, the stat was he's one of the strikers with the most close downs or the most duels won or the most turnovers in whatever, something like that. He's basically one of the most hardworking strikers in the league without the ball. Adding to that, his heading and his goal scoring and things like that. He doesn't have much assists, but Arsenal have enough creators to do that. But I do think that Toney is a good striker. How do you think that he'll fit into your team? Would you take him if he was available?
No, I think a big thing from the striker now is that they have a lot of mobility and a lot of engine. Right, so I think Havertz showed that he formed a lovely partnership with Odegaard in the way that they pressed and how they pressed and when they pressed. Ivan Toney at this stage, I don't think is what Arsenal needs right now. Ask me a few seasons ago, maybe I would have said yes, but I think this ban that he had, it's really affected some of his performance. I think maybe a good preseason puts him back in that England conversation where he's actually, Harry Kane's understudy, but at this moment in time, I think we've moved past the need for Ivan Toney with the way that the system has evolved and this team has evolved. We now need somebody like, Osimhen misses quite a few chances, but the mad chances that he's taking, it's fine. He still bangs like 20 a season. Yeah, there's the guy from Sporting that was at Coventry. I can't say his name, but he's got one of the hardest celebrations ever. Victor Goyokores or something like that. Yeah, that would be a good. And it's also it's based off one season, so maybe he's not actually that guy for us. But I think he's shown enough to, I think, somewhat elevate that front three because he's also got a mad amount of assists and some very good finishing on him. So yeah.
Just get Lal faster, man. I mean, the guy got relegated now. He's looking for a Premier League team.
Look, I said Lal is probably gonna, somebody's probably gonna sign now because he's shown everything that is needed. It's just you played in a very dysfunctional Burnley team. So if he gets good service, if he were to go to Bournemouth, he would flourish as well. Because 100%. Bournemouth value chance creation and they give it to the striker. I mean, that's why Dom was able to score so many this season. But yeah, shout out Lyle Foster. What a good representation for South Africa. But let's just move on from Arsenal quickly, and we're going to stay in London. Just a quick little thought on what's happening at Chelsea. So at the start of the season, we saw a bunch of Muppets, 100%. Todd Bowley, I'm convinced, he just chills on Twitter and he just waits to hear what the next football content creator says is needed at Chelsea, because then he just goes out to sign him. It's like a very football manager-esque type way of managing. But yeah, Poch out after he turned the season around, I think, somewhat. Nobody pegged him to get any European football, anything in the top half. And Poch somehow rallies his troops and they now have European football and he's gone. Riyaz, what are your thoughts? Because our teams are from London. Are we happy that he's gone?
No. I personally, like you said, with the Spurs thing, I kind of thought that they would do well this season because I backed my manager. So in the beginning of the season, I think that it was tough. They were shocking. There's no hiding from that. They were shocking. He couldn't get them playing together at the end of the day. There was no adaptability. There was no consistency. There was nothing. And he was struggling with that. But once it came now to the end of the season, the last 10 games or so, maybe just a bit more than that, they showed exactly what they're capable of, which was amazing things. I mean, they beat us 2-0 easily at the end of the day. They don't need to have possession of the ball, but they can have it when they want to have it. He played Marco Kurele as a centre mid, like a João Cancelo situation, which changed them the way they played completely because it allowed Gallagher to play further up and it allowed more running into the gaps, and Cole Palmer would come into the middle and Madueke played out wide. That was also a big difference when Madueke started playing as well. And he changed it around. It was Pochettino. It wasn't the guys. It was the manager. It's not like the guys decided to, let's play now. It's the end of the season. We want to play some football. No, the manager tactically switched everything around, found a way to make it work, and he made it work. So I think it's ridiculous that they sacked him, as they were on the up. They were running a good wave of momentum. And you never know what's going to happen. It depends on who comes in there. They might do better next season. But there's no way that you can tell me that Poch did not do a good job, especially how they started the beginning of the season. You can't take 23 individuals, mash them together, and hope that you're going to do well. Like you said, it's a football manager situation where the higher ups have no idea what they're doing. They have absolutely no idea what they're doing. But if you waited on Chelsea the whole season.
So my thing is, I think this decision was made like probably 3 or so months ago, in all honesty. I don't think that they just acted now that like, okay, no, like we're gonna sack him. I think this was done a couple of months ago before they went on this like crazy run at the end of the season. But even so, you go on this crazy run, you end the season strong, you get Europa League. Literally, you got the team into Europa League after having such a subpar season. Take that into account. Like, take that as sort of proof that this manager can work, that this manager can rally his troops. But I mean, like, these people, they are not football people. They like you said, this is basically an FM save to them, and it's mental. Like, when I read the news, I was like, nah, man, like, I thought it was one of those parody accounts or something like that, and then I was like, nah, it's live, here we go. Like, nah, man, this doesn't make any sense. And the Chelsea fans are distraught because they saw the vision, they trusted in the process, and they saw the fruits of what could have been, and now you being linked. I think the last thing I saw was they wanted young, dynamic, innovative manager. It's like,
who is that even?
Poch was doing some crazy things with the set of players. Yes, he spent like a truckload of money to get them, but still, like you made them work. You finally got them to gel at the end of the season, and now you're going to bring somebody in and he has to start from square one. Probably going to sell a few of these 100 mil players that were brought in. So I don't know. I'm confused, man. I don't know.
They needed one more season to just cultivate that young players, and then they could have sacked Poch next season. They would have ended fourth, and they could have sacked Poch next season and brought in like Conte back again or something stupid.
But it stems from having a very dysfunctional leadership. I think Todd Bowley took over, and he thought it was going to be this easy thing to run it. He's got. He probably watched Ted Lasso, and he thought, look, it's going to be like that. It's going to be easier. I think you'll be shocked to find out that Ted Lasso is a fictional character and you can't actually hire him. But also, I think...
You imagine that and unveiling the next manager and it's Jason Sudeikis.
Jason Sudeikis and Beard.
And they actually announced him as Ted Lasso, not Jason Sudeikis.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's just, I think in this last few games, besides my glaring observation of Enzo not playing, there was more consistency in the team selection. So I think at the start of the season, he was trying to mash together too many of the youngsters because he's probably getting word from owners that he needs to play all of these young kids that they've signed now, right? But then when he stuck to his guns and he played the same starting 11 with the same sort of spine going, right? So Jackson and then your Caicedo, Gallagher, and then the centre-back pairing maybe changed a bit, but you had your keeper that was the same, and then you had at least, I think it was, I don't know if it was Dazassi or it was maybe Chaloba that played a few more games consistently in this lot. But it helps to have that sort of thing. Then you have Palmer, you have Madueke, like you said, you started Mudryk most of the games, and it worked. Just to have some form of consistency, and then players start to get confidence, and they start to pick up form, like you saw with suddenly Mark Cucurella started looking like that guy from Brighton. There was a bit of fight, there was a bit of hunger, there was a bit of dynamism to their play and stuff like that. And then Nicholas Jackson, what did he get, like 16 goals for the season?
Oh, he's still a joke. I'm sorry.
He missed about 32, and that's probably fine. But he still managed to score 16 goals in a very, what some would consider a very good season for somebody in their debut season. Like, I'd say that's good. He's missed a bucket load of chances, but he still also scored 16 goals. So let's give him that much. But yeah, let's see what happens. I think I'm actually glad that he was sacked because I think they were starting to develop something good. And I'm not saying this to sound like, like fake humble, after we smashed them, but in that game and in the other games that were happening, you could see there was something happening there. There was some sort of like very cohesiveness that was starting to form, and now it's gone. So yeah, let them start the game. Let them do this whole thing again.
It's stupid because just one last thing on this is that I think at the beginning also the lack of consistency came from Poch trying to find out who his best 11 was, because like we said, there's so many different players in there. And he doesn't really know them. So he needs to know the chemistry between the players. And it takes a while to do that. So it took him half the season to get the chemistry and who's the best starting 11 that he needed. And then all of a sudden they came good. So now they have to start, like I said, from the beginning, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. No, that's all good. Going into our last little segment, we're just going to let AF talk about his feelings a bit more and preview the Man United-Man City game. What are the expectations, firstly? And then, what is your score prediction?
The expectation is to not concede more than 3 goals.
Okay.
That's my expectation. But yeah, I mean, like in all seriousness, I think they are going to try their best, and I don't think their best is going to be good enough. I mean, like I'm being brutally honest here. Like we're going up against a team like like you push City right until the very end, and I mean, you guys looked amazing, like for the most part after the turn of the year, and it's just like City are superhuman, man. So it's gonna have to be something extremely special, something completely miraculous that would have to happen on Saturday for United to lift that trophy. And I don't know if the appeal of Europa League football would be enough for them. Look, at the end of it all, if United don't win, that's no European football next season. It could be a sort of a silver lining. So they have one less competition to focus on, less chance for players to get injured. So we won't have a redo of what happened this season. But yeah, like if I can be optimistic, I would like United to win the cup. I just don't think that we are there yet. Like if I'm being honest, I don't think we're there yet.
That's fair. That's fair, Riyaz.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to say, to be honest. As much as I feel, or as much as it's obvious that City are the way better team and that they should score 3 or more goals against a United team that still does not have their preferred backline in play yet or available to them, we're still probably going to start Casemiro as a centre-back, who is still going to play a 4-2-2-2. I'm not sure how that works. With no striker and Bruno Fernandes and McTominay as a striker, something like that. And Kobe Mainoo and poor Kobe, shame. I mean, he's been amazing this season.
He has the team on his back at the moment at the age of 18 years old. Mental.
And they just leave him there. They just leave him there in the middle of the park. Do your best, bro. It's okay. You're going to be fine. Just do your best. And they just leave him there to man the whole middle of the park on his own. And they use Dallo as a second striker, and then the left back is open, and it's confusing. But anyways, as much as it's obvious that City is supposed to score as 3 goals or more, I think it's going to be closer than that, honestly. What was it? Was it 1-0 in the beginning of the season when you guys went there and you sat back and you just absorbed? Was only 1-0?
Yeah. 2-0.
So, okay, 2-0.
Yeah.
So, but like you guys can do that, and it's a cup game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think anything can happen. It's difficult to look past City, though, like you said. So it might be just a hanging in there and score on the counter thing with the Rashford or someone. Garnacho, he's been a spark. There you go.
Okay. All good.
I don't know, man. Like you mentioned the whole thing about like McTominay and Bruno as strikers and stuff like that. My guy Rasmus, bruh. Yo, what a player, what a bowler. What a guy, and he just comes off the bench and he has this like burst of pace and he takes the guys by surprise. And I think that's probably what tenhag is banking on. Like he comes with these like fresh legs and he has this burst of pace that I knew he had pace to begin with, but that acceleration was a nice surprise to see over the last like couple of games when he's like scored those goals and just like going like, I mean, his left foot is his strong foot. But all 3 of those goals has been scored with his right. So, yeah, that was a nice surprise.
But they don't like passing to him, apparently. That's the problem or something.
Yeah, that's also
no, but all of these goals that he scored recently, he's actually had to make it on his own, right? Or they play him a ball and he's gone. But the only fear I have for your AF, and this is me going to prediction now, right? The only fear is that when they bring him off the bench, that you guys are not 3-0 down already. And now we need to score a hat-trick off the bench, like... He's not all right. But yeah, I think if you can stay in it, I think if you can frustrate City, you always have a chance. I think West Ham had a chance. As soon as they scored that first goal, I thought, okay, now this is on. And I think City might be a bit complacent just because they've had the number over you guys recently. But it's probably the best place for United to be in that you can just go out and play knowing that you're not favourites and that you've come into games like these as second and underdogs, and you just go for it. And what's more for the season, right? You have a few players that's going to go off to the national teams and go play for their respective countries. But other than that, again, you win this and you suddenly put a little plaster over the fact that you
Yeah.
haven't played your first choice centre-back pairing for at least more than 1 or 2 games for the season. The fact that your striker isn't getting service from his midfielders. The fact that, all of those things, it just cracks over it a little bit, and it leads you into next season where we're hoping with this new ownership and things like that, it sort of helps. So, I think it's going to be close. I'm saying that United could win it, but I'm going to go with the City 2-1. And just an exciting game. I think it's always a nice game. I think it'll end the season off well, and it'll lead us into the Champions League final next week, the following week rather. So, But that is us for another episode. Just quickly before we exit.
Wait. Did Riyaz predict? Did Riyaz predict?
Did you predict? Neither of us predicted, I don't think.
Didn't I? Oh,
I didn't hear what you said.
I felt like I said 3-1 to City, but I
said
3-1.
The 3-1, and then Riyaz, I think you were saying 1-0 United because you said Garnacho or Rashford.
I'm gonna go with a 1-1 or a 2-2 draw. I'm gonna go for penalties all the way up. I'm gonna go for United to win the game, and I'm gonna go for tenhag to get sacked after the game.
Perfect.
Some Louis van Gaal stuff happening here. Match manager.
Okay. So we got a 2-2 with a shootout and then a sacking. We got a 3-1. We got a 2-1. Okay, interesting. Let's hope one of them, and the one that we want to come through is the one that makes our friend AF happy.
There you go.
AF, where can the people find you to see whether you're gonna cry or rejoice during the game over the weekend?
I've probably been crying already, but anyways, at AF Parker 642 on all social media platforms. I've actually been taking note of the RCB game that's happening here as well in the IPL. So we'll probably be tweeting and posting a lot about that in the run into the final on Sunday, I think. Come chat, come have conversation. I'm available.
All good. Riyaz?
I'm less available, but you can get me at Parker_Riyaz on Twitter and at RiyazParker7 on Instagram.
Perfect. At Jason_Ronnie on Twitter. Instagram is just Jason Ronnie, no spaces. And then, you can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Threads. You can find us on TikTok at Sportycast. Please, all the love, all the support. It's really appreciated. Like, comment, subscribe, interact with us. We would love to hear what your thoughts are, whether we're just talking a lot of nonsense and you have different opinions. We'd love to interact with that. Thanks for the support. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week. Cheers.